As the punch lands currently, Jaike gets pushed back and he noticed that something is happening with his sight. He is only seeing the after images of his opponent, and he is having trouble controlling the distance as well. After landing the punch, Ushi Jim tells Jaike that he is a weakling and he should throw away his title of the Apex Hybrid. Jaike gets angry, and while approaching Ushi Jim, he says that he doesn't feel guilty at all after doing all of this. Jaike rushes forward to punch him. Ushi Jim stands proudly and tells him to come at him. Jaike now gets closer and launched his first punch, saying that this punch is for his mom. Ushi Jim dodges the punch easily and casually starts to talk. Ushi Jim says that in the past, he used to make money by getting hit, but now even he wants to get hit, he can't. Jaike then launched his second punch, which is from his dad, but this time, also, Ushi Jim avoided it. Jaike gets desperate. He kicks Ushi Jim, and it was for Hanale. Ushi Jim steps aside and dodges the kick. Scalpel and Azrael is watching their fight. Scalpel speaks up and says that Ushi Jim is amazing as he is unfazed by such an attack. Every time Jaike's attack fails, the surroundings rapidly turn into a vacuum. It's as if a black hole nearby is consuming everything. If Ushi Jim had been just 1 cm closer, his body would have been crushed to pieces. Jaike's punches are making huge explosions behind Ushi Jim, but Ushi Jim is completely unaware of it. Scalpel asked Azrael that what kind of power did he infuse Ushi Jim with? No big deal, just a minor buff, Azrael replied. Then where did this fearless courage come from? Scalpel questioned. Azrael tells him that ignorance gives Ushi Jim courage, and he is brave because he's unaware. Jaike is continuously attacking Ushi Jim, but he gets frustrated as none of his attacks landed on Ushi Jim. After all this dodging, Ushi Jim attacks, and it lands on Jaike's face. Jaike flies away and falls on the ground. Seeing this, Ushi Jim says that he feels a twinge of guilt, about a gram, having to use his intense power on a high school kid who can't even land a punch on the opponent in front of him. Ushi Jim is showing his rough side on the outside, but inside he is very scared, as he can guess that Jaike is hiding a much stronger power, and if he awakens it, a mob monster like him will be crushed in no time. Ushi Jim's inner voice tells him to run away, but due to Scalpel's magic, he is unable to do so. The subordinates of Ushi Jim get surprised to see this dominating side of his and thinks that their Hyung has lost his true self. Jaike gets up and he starts to think that why can't he land any attack on his opponent? The opponent is not fast enough for him to unable to track, but the thing is that Jaike only sees lingering images. Ushi Jim give a nice pose and says to forget his previous self as from now on, he is a bloodthirsty super-killing machine, Ushi Jim. Seeing this, his subordinates get scared and says that the ugly face of Theer Hyung still remains the same. Jaike gets angry, and he says that he will never let that ugly face go. Jaike then says that he sees an opening. Saying this, he shoots a neon color beam. The beam goes straight towards Ushi Jim, but before hitting him, the beam curves and it just barely scratched the head of Ushi Jim. Ushi Jim's hair has gone from one side, and the beam hits the ceiling, and an explosion occurs. Ushi Jim starts to power up, and he says to Jaike that he is going to show his new ultimate technique. Saying this, he rushed towards Jaike. As Ushi Jim is running, his feet hits a small stone, and he is about to fall on the ground, but somehow B maintains his balance and charged in whirling around. Jaike gets shocked that he is unable to move. Ushi Jim gets closer and punched Jaike on his face. After that, Ushi Jim jumps on the wall, and from that high level, he flies away and kicks Jaike in the abdomen. The impact was so powerful that Jaike flies away. Seeing this, Ushi Jim's subordinates shouts and says that their Hyung has absolutely smashed it, and they also support his new chapter of their Hyung's life. Jaike hits a wall, and the wall gets crack on it. While whipping the blood on his face, Jaike asked Ushi Jim that what he has done to deserve this. Hearing this, Ushi Jim stays silent as this was all his fault. Jaike recovers a bit, and then he starts to search for his glasses. While he is searching at that time, he feels a pain in his eyes, and his eyes starts to glow. He looks forward and sees that his vision is blurry. But after a while, his vision gets super clear. Jaike gets that the reason for the afterimage was because of his glasses weren't right. And now, as his glasses are off, he can see crystal clear. Scalpel and Azrael also gets the reason that why he was unable to land any hit. Azrael says that during the fight his awakening occurs, which improves his strength and eyesight. Azrael also says that if things goes on like this, the full awakening is only a matter of time. He then looks at the gauge and sees that it is very close to the red line. What? Because of the glasses. So do you think you can land a hit on me properly now? Those who can't fight always blame their tools. Ushi. Jim says this while poking his nose. After that, Ushi Jim gets serious and says Jaike that he will finish him with his punch. Jaike eyes glows, and he looks at Ushi Jim with his eyes even wider, and now he can see everything. He can also see the weak points of the opponent. Jaike gets that Ushi Jim's full body is filled with weakness. Ushi Jim has vitamins and intelligence deficiency, he has a weak heart and a weak body, and he is a lefty. Ushi Jim rushed and punched Jaike. Jaike stops his punch with a single hand. He then gives a deadly look at Ushi Jim and tells him to stop, or else he will die. Ushi Jim gets scared as he can feel the wind of hell from Jaike. Ushi Jim lost his mind and starts to babble. Jaike cannot tolerate anymore, so he gives a nice slap to Ushi Jim. As the slap lands, Ushi Jim's nose starts to bleed, and he gets a fingerprint on his face. The slap is so powerful that Ushi Jim flies away. He hits the ceiling and breaks it, and hits a building and cracks it. He, again, hits another building and cracks it. After that, he gets on the road and rolls on the road and hits a wall and stops. He is just like a rubber ball. After all of this, he stands still on the footpath. He takes out his phone and starts to talk with his mother. He does this to ignore the attention of the public. Who? That was impressive. Have you finally achieved an awakening beyond human limitation? Azrael steps up and says this to Jaike. He then raises his hand and tells Jaike that if he is really in the process of awakening as an apex hybrid, he should be able to easily block an attack of this level. Saying this, he gives a deadly look at Jaike, with his eyes glowing blue. Jaike gets shocked after hearing this. Azrael then downs his hand and says, "Judgment light." After that, the sky turns bright golden. Later, a golden beam pierced the clouds and directly gets through the selling hole and hits Jaike. As the beam hits Jaike, he falls on the ground and screams in pain and says that his body is being pushed endlessly downward. Azrael then comes and stands in front of Jaike. He tells that the precious light of the holy light is the purest of lights, apex. Hybrid, you are half demon, and anyone who has even a bit of demon's blood flowing in them will eventually never be able to bear the weight of the holy light. Another light appears on the sky beside the golden beam. It also lands on the warehouse beside Azrael. As the light lands, Azrael gets scared. We can see a human figure in the light as we gets closer. We can see it is none other than our cute Hanael. Hanael hair gets white, and she seems fired up. She makes a sword out of her aura and cuts the ropes of Jaike's mom and dad. She then looks angrily at Scalpel and asked him that if all of this is his doing. Scalpel replies no and says that he is just a subcontractor. Jaike's parents land safely on the ground, and now they are relieved. After that, Azrael starts to talk. He wants to test the strength of the light, so he just touches his fingers in the light. As soon as his fingers comes in contact with the light, he quickly gets dragged into the ground. Hanael and Scalpel gets shocked as Azrael gets dragged into the ground so fast that it's like teleportation. Azrael is falling, and he uses his hands and aura to grab onto the ground, but as he gets down, he hits an underground train and gets on it. Later, as the train stops at a station, Azrael gets out and his clothes and hair are all messed up. Everyone at the station is looking at him due to his messed up looks. He finds it embarrassing, so he walks quickly. As he didn't have a train pass, so he used his swift movements and passed the station beside other person. As he passed the station, he starts to walk, but he feels that something is sucking his feet. He then looks down and sees that his feet has been gone to the ground by a mysterious blue light. He panics a bit and quickly takes his gauge meter. But as he about to look at it, he gets dragged into the ground. The gauge meter falls on the ground and opens, and we can see the meter turns red. The people at the station gets confused to see this. At that time, a boy says that if you ride for free, you're going to hell. On the other side, we can see Jaike is falls. He keeps his eyes closed as he is unable to do anything. After a while, he gets out from the other side of the earth. He quickly gets up and takes a fighting pose. He then looks around the surrounds and gets shocked. He couldn't believe it and thinks that as he has been dragged in the ground, so he must be in hell. He then looks at his clothes and sees that they are all covered in dirt. At that time, Jaike hears a voice coming from his behind. He turns around and sees that a man with dark black eyes and hair is calling his name. The man smiles at him and says that it is a coincidence that he has met Jaike here. He also says that he has heard that Jaike is an apex hybrid, but it seems he is not that smart. He then tells Jaike that this place is on the exact opposite side of the earth from where he came. Jaike then asked who is he and if he knows him. I've been desperately searching for you for a long time. I am avaying like an angel, you might say. My name is Lucifer. The man says this. While the man is saying this, Jaike remembers that he quickly need to go back as his mom and dad are in danger. But now Jaike is confused, as he didn't know how to go to his parents. At that time, Lucifer gives Jaike a plane ticket to Korea and says that he can come with him. Jaike is tired and he is sweating while walking with Lucifer. He asked him that who is he really. Lucifer didn't reply and says that they should walk fast as they are in hurry. On the other hand, around the warehouse, lots of people has gathered there because of the golden light. People starts to talk about it. Some says that this is the work of an angel. At that time, Henale and Scalpel gets behind the gathered crowd. Henale curses Azrael for doing this and taking a leave as she has to handle this now. Henale starts to approach people and uses her magic of brainwashing on them. She makes everyone forget about this incident and sent them home. After cleaning up, she asked Scalpel that if he know where Jaike went to. Scalpel replies that everything happened so fast that he lost track. Hearing this, Henale says that she will fly towards the source of this pillar of light, as she must get rid of it first, as said. She starts to fly towards the light's end, leaving Scalpel behind. Henale flies at high speed, and as soon as she gets above the clouds, she gets shocked to find out that this pillar of light is coming from the home of a first-order archangel. In the meantime, Azrael is fall towards the hell. As Azrael gets in hell, he falls on a chair. In front of him is sitting another demon named Negojom. Seeing him, Negojom laughs and says that it's quite a pitiful for an archangel of the third order to fall in hell. Azrael panics and says that they should negotiate as there might be balance control failure. Even a swift one like you seems pathetic when cornered. You should have listened when I tried to recruit you nicely. No more negotiation, especially for someone who lost their angelic status and fell into hell. Negojom tells this to Azrael. Hearing this, Azrael begs Negojom to negotiate, and if he release him, he promises to repay him. Only an angel on the brink of corruption has value. An angel who has already fallen is futile, even in hell. Negojom says this. Azrael asked Negojom to let him do a small good deed to turn the corruption gauge blue, and if he helps him, he'll give him more than 5,000 low-ranked angels. Negojom reply that he is not interested in that. And also, as he is a demon of hell, he has no intention of helping him. He also tells Azrael to just enjoy his own throne, since it's come to this. Azrael's throne and his aren't that different. The only difference is he can move, but Azrael can't. Negojom then gets up from his throne and tells Azrael to just sit tight and watch TV for about 1,000,000 years. He will let him watch whatever he wants. Azrael gets depressed and starts to watch the TV. On the other side, Jaike and Lucifer gets onto the plane. Jaike thanks Lucifer for buying him new clothes. Lucifer tells Jaike that this French school uniform suits him well. As Lucifer is about to introduce him again at that time, Jaike gets excited, seeing the plane fly. After that, Lucifer feels hungry, so he calls the air hostess to bring to ramen noodles for them. The hostess bring the ramens and give them. The ramen looks so delicious that Jaike starts to eat without saying anything. While Jaike is eating, Lucifer tells him that he may not realize the extent of what he possesses. He also tells Jaike not to let satisfaction stop him and desire more, yearn for more. He will plant the seed of desire in him, and he will make his desires burn hotter. In hell, Azrael is already bored because there's nothing to do there. He can't believe that he is falling into corruption in such a pathetic manner like this. If he spends too much time here, he'll lose any means to raise his corruption gauge, and if that happens, he might even lose his status as an angel. He wishes to find a way to solve this, and then he decides to check out the human realm channel. He sees Jaike and thinks that if he helps Jaike, he will be able to refill his gauge quickly, but currently, Jaike is sitting with a person who seems quite familiar. Who is that sitting next to him? Do I know him? He wonders. The person sitting next to Jaike introduces herself as Lucifer, who has neither any affiliation nor rank. Jaike asks whether she is famous. Lucifer replies that she is somewhat. She says that she has been waiting for Jaike, and now that she has finally met him, what truly matters is that they're here together. She says that as the one destined to be an apex hybrid, she will bestow upon him a spear and a shield. Your gifting items, Jaike questions. Lucifer answers that it's not like that. It's actually more than that. She intends to give everything she possesses to Jaike. She then raises her hand to get more chocolates for Jaike. Jaike says that he doesn't understand why she is being so kind to him, but he tells her to stop doing that because he has already rejected the fate of the apex hybrid. Moreover, Hena has been treating him well. Lucifer asks by saying Hena whether he is referring to the guardian angel Hanael. She adds that a guardian angel can do nothing rather than protecting you. Lucifer says that she respects Jaike's choices, what he wishes to do, who he wishes to be with. Everything depends on his decision, and she is here to assist him in reaching it. Additionally, she will bestow him with a powerful desire to achieve everything he wishes for. She tells him that what he wants to do with that desire, he can decide it later. She again tells him to yearn more and crave more. In hell, Azrael was watching all of it. Jesus! Did I see that right? Lucifer is sitting next to Jaike and is trying to sway him right now, he thinks. This is getting dangerous, and it seems like Jaike has already halfway succumbed to Lucifer's temptation. This is really teetering Azrael on the edge. In the human realm, Hanael notices the origin of the light. She politely knocks the aircraft. Ah, an angel? How did she know I was here? A girl sitting inside the aircraft asks. Hanael requests her to switch off the light. The girl says that she literally can't believe this as she was so focused on other things that she completely forgot. She was wondering how a low-ranking angel could find this place. Hanael says that she knows her. She introduces her as the First Order Archangel named Mika. Mika says that it's been a while since she has been addressed by that title. To refer to her as an archangel, a retired angel. Secluding within this secular realm is not good. So she permits Hanael to just call her Lady Micah, as she is not really assigned any official duties. Could it be that Micah is also looking for the Apex hybrid? Hanael asks, while worrying. Micha again tells Hanael to call her Lady Mika and asks by Apex hybrid whether she is referring to that entity from the legends. Micha says that she might have been interested if it were about unicorns or dragons, but she really doesn't put much stock into such fairy tales. Then why did you pass the judgment of light? Hanael questions. Misha answers that it's a pact that when a higher angel requests assistance from below, they provide unconditional supportive fire. So, Misha isn't interested in Jaike. Hanael again asks for reassurance. Misha answers that she neither knows who Jaike is, nor does she have any sort of interest in him, because her only focus is to find a particular person who is the embodiment of evil, and whom she must obliterate. Hanael asks whether Mika is using that scope attached in her aircraft to find that person. Yes, are you interested? Would you like to take a look? Misha asks. Finally, Hanael got to see the legendary scope that can supposedly find anyone. Misha says that while she doesn't believe in legends, she still has a liking for legendary items, and if they're on the surface, she can find anyone. Then, could you find my friend Jaike? Hanael requests. Misha asks whether he is a human. Hanael replies that he is human, who disappeared after getting hit by the light of judgment. Misha gets shocked while wondering how a human can be alive after that. She says that if a human was hit by the judgment of light, they would have been long dead by completely disintegrating into dust. Hanael replies that the attack might be potent, but it's still not enough to turn Jaike into dust. Huh? Then what kind of human is he? Misha asks. She says that if Jaike is that resilient, then maybe she could be a little interested. Hanael doesn't like the idea of that. At the emergency medical center, a group of gangsters has come to visit Ushi Jim, who is currently hospitalized. The gang leader barges into the room to see Ushi Jim, who he regards as his big brother. The nurse tells him that the patient needs absolute rest. He goes near Ushi and asks what the hell happened to him to make him completely incapacitated. Tell me! What was his condition when he was admitted to the emergency room? He shouts at the nurse. The nurse replies that Ushi used a taxi and walked into the hospital on his own. He informs that the patient has opted for our hospital's top-tier absolute rest package. That isn't an oxygen mask, it's aromatherapy sleep gas. The package also includes 3 organic meals a day and lullaby services. He tells them not to disturb the patient because if the patient wakes up, he won't be able to sleep tonight. The gang leader cries as he recalls that Ushi Jim has always been his mental pillar, but now he's in a vegetable state. The nurse intervenes, saying that he is not a vegetable, though. The gang leader says that the reason he could level up as a nation-level gangster was because his brother Ushi Jim had a big influence on him. Because of Ushi Jim, the leader of the nation Double Dragon was arrested accusing him of assault and murder. After cleaning up the last Double Dragon gang, they finally conquered the nation, and he couldn't have achieved this without his brother's self-sacrifice. That's the kind of person Ushi Jim was, a kind person who knows nothing but self-inflicted threats. In the past, Ushi Jim was a cool person according to them, and they vow to help him whenever he needs it. The gang leader says that Ushi Jim is a man who has lived his entire life through self-harm blackmailing. There's no way he could be in this state just from a few punches. So, National Charismatic Explosion Gank Number 1, Hanma Bak orders the others to find the culprit as they must avenge their beloved brother. From the aircraft, Misha and Hanael located Ushi Jim. Misha asks whether he is the friend whom Hanael is looking for. Hanael replies, saying no. You said you were the guardian angel of your friend named Jaike? Why are you trying so hard to find him when the human didn't even make a request first? Misha questions. Hanael replies that she chose to be a guardian angel as part of his heavenly duty. But Jaike is defenselessly exposed among those filled with excessive desires. And if not for her, there's no other angel to protect Jaike. Misha located Scalpel and asks whether he is the one. Hanael replies that this person is just a demon, not Jaike. Misha thinks deeply and concludes that if Jaike was hit by the judgment of light, which could even penetrate the earth, and if he didn't perish, then he likely ended up on the opposite side of the earth, maybe somewhere in France. So she decides to move above France in order to look for him. She starts finding to the most likely place possible. Suddenly, the mood around them changes and becomes serious as Mika tells Hanael not to let her personal emotions darken her judgment because guardian angels sometimes forget their duties and become too involved with humans. She advises Hanael that whenever this kind of situation arises, she must remember that she is a heavenly apostle and it's her duty to pursue objective justice. Misha then finds Jaike in a place. She says it was hard to find him because the plane was floating above the sea. Additionally, she says that it's a lucky day for Hanael to find his friend this quickly. But then she starts sweating. Why is the one I've been looking for sitting next to him? Misha asks. She says that she has finally found Lucifer. She starts to transform as she says that in the name of Archangel Mikael, she declares right here and right now that she will execute Lucifer and obliterate her soul. At that time, Azrael's corruption gauge with wings falls into Scalpel's hands. What's this? Scalpel thinks. Then, suddenly, he hears the voice of Azrael. Scalpel says that he thought Azrael had gone diving. Azrael replies that he has descended somewhere even deeper than that, a place where even the voices of heaven can't reach. Luckily, he left his corruption gauge behind, but he didn't know it had a communication function. He tells Scalpel to listen carefully. He says that he was on a heaven mission to bring Jaike in, but he ended up crossing a dangerous line and fell into hell instead. Scalpel says that it's good news because he was planning to send Azrael to hell himself, but Azrael got there on his own. How does it feel to fall into hell, a paradise of underfloor heating with a fully functioning lava boiler? Scalpel asks. Azrael replies that his body feels so hot it's driving him nuts. And the problem is what comes next, because Jaike, who went to the opposite side of the earth, has met Lucifer, who is a boy. Lucifer? Jaike met him? My favorite idol? Did Jaike really? Scalpel asks rapidly. Azrael replies that the important part is what happens next, because the operator whose support he requested was Mikael. In short, Misha, the First Order Archangel. Mikael? That ruthless, scary, terrifying person? Scalpel questions. Azrael again replies that the important part comes next, and it's that Mikael has found Lucifer. Scalpel gets frustrated as he asks Azrael why does the important always come next? And Mikael meeting Lucifer, how is this even relevant? Azrael shares that a very long time ago, when he was still a First Order Archangel, he met Mikael once. He greeted Mikael while eating. Misha told him that his future is quite unclear because she smells the stench of a bat standing on the boundary of good and evil. She said that there was also an angel who kept doing the same as Azrael, and that fallen angel will have to hide from her forever, because the day he catches her eye, he will cease to exist. She told Azrael not to forget that she is watching his corruption gauge too. She said a particular line that her justice knows no exceptions. In simple terms, it means if you mess up and I catch sight of you, you're dead. Azrael says that he has never been so scared in his life until then, and the person whom Mikael was looking for is none other than Lucifer. Mikael always searched for Lucifer. What happens if the moment comes when she finds Lucifer? Azrael asks. He answers that it will mark the beginning of an inevitable war. Mikael throws her spear at the aeroplane. Lucifer senses the spear coming and moves the plane to the right. The attendant apologizes for the inconvenience due to the turbulent flight caused by the change in air currents. Lucifer realizes that he might have exposed himself for too long. Mikael is preparing for another attack. And at that moment, Hanael stands in front of her. "Mikael, you have to consider the passengers on the plane. Isn't protecting innocent people also an angel's duty?" she asks. Mikael replies that the minor casualties that occurred during the implementation of justice are unavoidable, and if one can eliminate one evil and help even more innocent people, that is what justice is, in her opinion. Mikael tells Hanael that she is being too lenient with humans, and it is the duty of angels to never be swayed by personal feelings. She says that this is her personal revenge. So Hanael must never try to stop her, or else she will face the consequences. "What's the problem if the two of them fight?" Scalpel asks. Azrael replies that Mikael's spear is such a powerful weapon that the moment the spear hits the ground, a massive explosion will occur, the so-called mini-Armageddon. It will result in the horrific destruction of 35% of all life on Earth. When all the dinosaurs on Earth became extinct 66 million years ago, it was because Lucifer avoided Mikael's spear. Were they fighting even then? "However, wouldn't it be a good thing for me if humanity goes extinct?" Scalpel asks while laughing. He says that it would be a great opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. Azrael says that because of his increasingly demonic nature, he momentarily forgot that he was talking with an actual demon. Scalpel asks, why is it called mini-Armageddon? Azrael replies that it's because it will only destroy 35% of all life on Earth. "Oh, that's a bit disappointing. Isn't there a way to achieve 100% extinction?" Scalpel asks while giving a devil's smile. He says that if he could increase the population of Hell that much, and even recruit the Apex hybrid, the forces of Hell would become invincible, and he would be promoted to the ranks of first-class demon in no time. Azrael says that as a former Archangel, he will leak the secrets of heaven a little. If Scalpel helps him, he will tell Scalpel the exact moment when the true Armageddon will occur. He explains that the moment Mikael's spear touches the ground, a massive explosion will occur. The corruption gauge can measure the probability of the explosion occurring. He tells Scalpel to check the risk level and intervene in the fight between Lucifer and Mikael, as he must prevent Mikael's spear from hitting the ground at all costs. Scalpel agrees by saying that it's a lot of work, but he'll do it for the information. He will sacrifice the mini-Armageddon for true Armageddon. Mikael again throws her spear at the plane in order to call out Lucifer. The attendant announces that, due to changes in air currents, in-flight meal service will be temporarily suspended. Lucifer tells Jaike to just wait a little longer for his food, and it seems like he has a visitor outside. Mikael opens the aeroplane's door and barges in. An air hostess tells her that she cannot enter the cabin without permission. "Lucifer, come out," she shouts. Lucifer comes out and says that it's been a long time since they last met, and judging by her healthy complexion, it seems she is doing well. Without lingering, she cuts Lucifer into half. She says that greetings are a waste of time. Lucifer disappears into dust. Lucifer says that things will not go as Mikael wants because he even prepared a farewell greeting this time around. "The fact that I can exist anywhere as dust. You know, don't you?" he asks. Mikael tells Lucifer that he must also know that the moment he catches sight of her, that will be his last moment by swinging her spear. Lucifer, using this dust powers, lures Mikael outside the aeroplane. He uses the dust around him to make wings to help him fly. He says that he thought he had been living well without getting caught. Scalpel, on the other hand, is flying while trying to get closer to the fight scene. He suddenly notices that the danger level has spiked to 79%. He wonders why it spiked so suddenly, but then he again notices that the danger level has reached 85%. It was happening because one of Mikael's spears is about to hit the ground, but in the nick of time, Hanael rushes forward and stops it. Thus, the danger level decreases to 50%. Mikael again shouts by saying Lucifer's name as she charges towards him. In the meantime, Jaike raises his hand and calls the air hostess to ask about his food. She replies that due to the disturbance caused by a certain passenger, they've had to suspend the in-flight meal service for safety reasons. At the same time, Mikael and Lucifer are fighting head-to-head. "Can't we just make peace?" Lucifer asks. Mikael tells him to be silent because she'd chase him to the ends of the universe just to bring him down. "Oh my! Have I done something so terrible?" Lucifer questions. Suddenly, Jaike appears and tells both of them to stop as, because of their fighting, his ramyon isn't coming. Mikael turns around and gets astonished that a human, a mere mortal, can stand in mid-air without wings. "How is this possible?" she asks.